I woke up alone in a hospital bed with 3 broken ribs and a punctured lung. No flowers, no cards, no family. Just a nurse named Colleen checking my IV and a chair nobody had sat in. My sister Margot had been there. Once. For 20 minutes. Long enough to sign a financial waiver making sure the hospital knew she wasn't paying for any of it. Then she walked out while a machine was breathing for me. I want you to hold that for a second. 20 minutes. While I was in surgery. While a machine was breathing for me. She signed a piece of paper and left. 5 days later, she came back, strolled up to the nurse's station, and asked if I'd been discharged yet. And Nurse Colleen, the woman who'd checked on me every 2 hours for 5 straight days, looked my sister dead in the eye and said one sentence. I watched the color drain from Margot's face through the window of my room. I'm Acacia Sinclair. I'm 29 years old. And what I'm about to tell you is the story of how my own sister tried to kill me for $1.1 million, and how I made sure she lost everything in a single night in front of 200 people. Stay with me. Because what the nurse said, that's not even the most shocking part. Let me take you back to the night of the accident. Tuesday in March. I've just finished a 12-hour shift at the Millbrook Community Clinic. Flu season. Short-staffed. The usual. I'm driving home on Route 7. This stretch of road is muscle memory. I've driven it 1,000 times, winding 2-lane blacktop through the Connecticut hills, guardrails on the curves. I come up on the first sharp bend past the old covered bridge. I press the brake. Nothing. I press harder. The pedal sinks to the floor like stepping into mud. No resistance. No response. My hands lock on the wheel. The curve is coming fast. I pump the brake once, twice, 3 times, and there's this sick, hollow feeling like the car has forgotten what stopping means. Headlights sweep across the guardrail. I yank the wheel right. At 45 miles per hour on a downhill curve, there is no shoulder. There's gravel, then metal. The car hits the guardrail and the world turns into noise, glass shattering, steel screaming. Something inside my chest snaps. 3 distinct cracks like someone breaking dry branches. Then quiet. I'm hanging sideways in my seatbelt. Blood in my mouth. A paramedic's face in the broken window. Punctured lung. At least 3 fractured ribs. Stay with us? And just before I go under, I hear someone say someone already called her sister. I held on to that. In the darkness behind my eyelids, I thought Margot is coming. I'll be okay. That was the last time I trusted her. 31 hours later, I come out of surgery. The ceiling tiles have tiny holes in them, hundreds of little dots. I count them because there's nothing else to look at. No flowers, no cards, no jacket on the visitor's chair. Nurse Colleen checks my IV. How long have I been out? About a day and a half. Surgery went well. I look at the empty chair. Has anyone been here? She pauses. Not long. Just a beat. But I've been a nurse for 6 years. I know what that pause means. Your sister came in the first night. She was here about 20 minutes. She signed the financial release form. Then she left. 20 minutes. I don't know what my face does, but Colleen pulls the blanket up over my shoulder. A small thing, a nothing thing. But it's the first gentle touch I've felt in 2 days. That night I call my father. His voice has that loose, fuzzy quality I've known my whole life. The sound of a man after his 3rd bourbon. Margot said she's handling everything. Don't worry about it. Dad, I'm in the hospital. I had surgery. Right. Margot told us. She said you're doing fine. I hang up, stare at my phone, and right then I understand something I should have understood years ago. In this family, I was never the daughter. I was the backup plan. Now here's where this story changes, and I need you to stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you is the reason everything that comes later had to happen. Day 3. My college friend Danny Oakes walks in. He's a mechanic, runs a shop on the edge of town, the kind of guy who shows up. He heard about the accident and drove straight here. He sits in the visitor's chair, the one nobody else has used, and puts a paper bag of donuts on the side table. Then his face changes. Acacia, I need to tell you something. Your car got towed to Henley's lot. I went over this morning because I wanted to see how bad it was. He stops, rubs his hands together. The brake line didn't wear out. It was cut. Clean cut. Someone used a blade or a snip tool. There's no way that happened by itself. The room tilts just slightly like the floor shifted an inch to the left. That's not possible, I say. I took pictures. I'll send them to your insurance adjuster, but I wanted you to hear it from me first. Who had access to your car that night, before the accident? And there it is. The question I don't want to answer. Because the night before the accident, I parked at my parents' house for dinner. The car sat in the open driveway for 3 hours. And Margot was there too. Think about that. My sister was at that house. My brakes were cut that night. And 2 days after my accident, she called my grandmother's trust attorney asking about the incapacity provisions. What happens to my money if I'm declared legally incapacitated? I need to tell you about the money because numbers don't lie and families do. My grandmother, Frances Sinclair, left a trust valued at $2.3 million, split equally between Margot and me. The first distribution went out last year. The second distribution, my share, $1.15 million, was scheduled for my 30th birthday, 11 months away. If I was declared legally incapacitated before that birthday, Margot could petition for temporary control of my portion. Temporary in trust law can mean years. The trust attorney, Helen Ashford, has managed that trust for 9 years. In 9 years, Margot never once asked about my share. Not a single question, until I ended up in that hospital bed. And here is the part that made my blood run cold. Helen tells me Margot has already contacted a psychiatrist, Dr. Leland Porter. She asked him about the process for having someone evaluated for legal incapacity. She's not waiting for you to recover, Helen says. She's building a case to have you declared incapacitated. If she succeeds, she controls your share before you ever see a cent. I stare at the ceiling tiles, 216 of them. I've had plenty of time to count. Then we'd better move faster than she does. Now I need to tell you about my sister's real life, not the Instagram version. Margot married Brett Whitfield because he was handsome and ambitious and told her she'd never worry about money. For 3 years, that was true. Then Brett bet everything on a residential development. 22 luxury homes on a hillside lot. He borrowed $1.8 million. The project stalled. Permits got tangled. Investors pulled out. The bank sent letters, then more letters. Margot found out their life was collapsing when their credit card declined at a restaurant in front of 3 of her charity board friends. That night, Brett sat across from Margot at their kitchen island and said 6 words. Fix this or I'm done. Fix this. Like she was a contractor and the marriage was a leaky faucet. And Margot looked around her life. The house with the wraparound porch, the charity gala with her name on the program, the friends who called her Mrs. Whitfield. And she understood. Without money, Brett leaves. Without Brett, the house goes. Without the house, the friends go. Without the friends, she's just Margot Sinclair from a drunk father's house on the wrong side of Millbrook. My share of Grandma Frances's trust, $1.15 million, 11 months from distribution, was the only number that could save her. My sister didn't try to kill me because she hates me. She tried to kill me because her husband told her to fix their money problem. And I was the easiest fix, $34.99. That's what my life was worth to my sister, and I can prove it. Because Ray Kendall found the receipt. Ray Kendall is a former state police investigator. Helen retained him. He's in his 50s, built like a mailbox. Short, solid, no wasted space. He sits across from me at June's kitchen table. I'll explain who June is in a moment, and spreads photographs across the table. The brake line on your vehicle was severed with a cutting tool. Not corroded, not frayed. Cut. He taps a second photo. This is a receipt from the Home Depot in Danbury. A set of automotive brake line cutters. Purchased 3 days before your accident. Paid for with a visa ending in 4471. Whose card? Registered to Margot Sinclair Whitfield. $34.99. That's what my life was worth to my sister. $34.99. Ray continues. Security footage from my parents' neighbor. A ring camera partially covering the Sinclair front yard. At 11:47 p.m., the night before my accident, a figure walks from the house toward the driveway where my car was parked. Build and clothing are consistent with my sister, and Brett Whitfield called Margot at 11:30 that night. The call lasted 11 minutes, 17 minutes before that figure appeared on camera, an 11-minute phone call. Then someone walked to my car with a $35 tool and took my brakes apart. Receipt same trip. Brake line cutters, $34.99. Nitrile gloves, $7.49. Grand total, $42.48. The full cost of trying to erase me. I need to pause here because I want you to feel the weight of what I just said. I am sitting in a stranger's kitchen with broken ribs, looking at a photograph of my sister's credit card receipt. For the tool used on my brake line, $42.48. If you're still here, drop a comment right now. Because what happens next, that's what I've been waiting to tell you. And it happens in a ballroom in front of 200 people. But first I need to tell you what Colleen said to Margot. Because this is the moment everything shifted. 2 days before the charity gala, Margot walks into Millbrook General at 2:15 p.m., hair blown out, sunglasses pushed up on her head. She approaches the nurse's station and smiles at the woman behind the desk. "Hi there, I'm looking for my sister Acacia Sinclair. Has she still not been discharged yet?" The woman behind the desk is Colleen Brady, the same Colleen who checked on me every 2 hours for 5 straight days. The same Colleen who watched Margot sign a financial waiver and leave after 20 minutes. The same Colleen who pulled a blanket over my shoulder when no one else was there. Colleen looks up from her chart, takes off her reading glasses, folds her hands on the desk, and says, "She was discharged 4 days ago, but you'd know that if you'd visited more than once." Margot's face doesn't move for a full 3 seconds. Then something behind her eyes shifts. Not guilt, not shame, fear. Because if Acacia left the hospital without telling anyone in her family where she went, that means Acacia is no longer the helpless little sister lying in a bed waiting to be managed. "Where is she?" Margot asks, her voice tight now. "Where did she go?" "I'm a nurse, Mrs. Whitfield. Not a tracking device." Margot turns and walks out, fast heels clicking on the floor, already dialing her phone before she hits the elevator. That was the first time Colleen had ever seen my sister look scared. I wasn't there to see it, but I can picture every second of it. And honestly, it was the first moment in this whole nightmare where I felt like maybe I wasn't the crazy one. Here's what happened to Margot in the 48 hours before the gala. She calls Tessa, my cousin, my only ally. "Have you talked to Acacia? Do you know where she is?" Tessa bless her lies cleanly. "I haven't heard from her. Maybe she needed space." Space! She doesn't need space. She needs to come home. Margot calls the clinic. Acacia is on extended medical leave. No further information available. She calls my mother. Pauline doesn't know anything, because I haven't told anyone. She calls Dr. Porter, the psychiatrist she'd been courting to evaluate me, and pushes for an emergency competency assessment. Porter tells her the patient must be present and consenting for any evaluation. He can't declare someone incapacitated based on a family member's phone call. What Margot doesn't know is that Helen has already sent Dr. Porter a formal letter stating that I am fully competent, represented by counsel, and that any evaluation initiated without my consent will be met with a malpractice complaint. Dr. Porter declined Margot's request, firmly. So now my sister has no access to the trust, no psychiatric evaluation, no idea where I am, and a police investigation breathing down her neck. She has exactly one card left to play: the charity gala, 200 people, a microphone, her name on the program, the last stage she'll ever own. The night before the gala, I sit in June's guest room with a white envelope on the nightstand and Helen's binder on the bed. I think about Grandma Frances. The last time I saw her, she was in the hospice bed, and she pulled me close and said, "Promise me you'll never let anyone, especially someone who shares your blood, make you feel like you deserve less than what's yours." I promised. She squeezed my hand. 2 days later, she was gone. I pick out my clothes for tomorrow. Simple navy dress, flats, small earrings. I'm not going to the gala to impress anyone. I'm going as myself, which is the one thing Margot never planned for. The Millbrook Country Club looks like a magazine spread. White tablecloths, crystal glassware, hydrangeas spilling out of silver urns, string quartet in the corner, 200 guests circulating the ballroom in cocktail dresses and sport coats. Margot stands near the entrance in a crimson gown, greeting people with the precision of a woman who has rehearsed this night 100 times. She's radiant, she's warm, she's everything you'd want in a host. I walk through the front door at 6:45 p.m. The room doesn't go silent. That only happens in movies. But there's a ripple, a pause, a few heads turn. Margot sees me, and for 1/2 second, a fraction of a moment nobody else catches, her face does something honest. Her smile falters. Her eyes widen. She looks like a woman who just heard a noise in an empty house. Then the mask snaps back on. She crosses the room with her arms open. "Oh my God, Acacia, you came," her voice carries. She makes sure of it. "Everyone, my sister is here. This is what family's about." She hugs me. I hug her back. She smells like Chanel and hairspray. I lean close to her ear. "We need to talk privately after your speech." I feel her body go rigid, just for a second. Then she pulls back, smiling, and says brightly, of course, let me get you a drink." At 7:30, Margot takes the stage. She stands behind the podium. The room quiets. "Thank you all for being here tonight," she begins. "This has been a difficult year for the Sinclairs. Some of you know my baby sister Acacia was in a terrible car accident a few weeks ago." A murmur of sympathy from the room. "But our family came together. We supported each other. That's what Sinclairs do." She pauses, eyes glistening. "I was at the hospital every day, sitting by her side, praying for her recovery, every day. She was there 20 minutes, once." I I sit at my table. My face is still. Tessa's hand finds mine under the tablecloth and squeezes, and tonight Margot continues voice-breaking beautifully. My sister is here with us. Acacia, stand up. Let everyone see you. 200 faces turn toward me. I don't stand. I lift my hand in a small wave. Polite smile. The room applauds. Margot wipes a tear. And from 3 tables over, Colleen Brady sets her water glass down on the table with a quiet click. She looks at Margot the way a surgeon looks at an X-ray. Because Colleen was there, Colleen knows exactly how many times Margot visited. 10 minutes after the speech, I catch Margot's eye across the room. I tilt my head toward the lounge, a small side room off the main ballroom. Frosted glass doors. She nods, follows me in. The lounge is quiet. Leather chairs, a bar cart nobody's using, soft lighting. I close the door, take the envelope from my clutch, set it on the table between us. Open it, I say. Margot looks at the envelope, then at me. She picks it up, slides out the single sheet. I watch her eyes move line by line. The brake line report, the Home Depot receipt, her credit card, the Ring camera timestamp, Brett's phone call at 11:30 p.m., her inquiries to the bank, her calls to the psychiatrist, all of it condensed into 12 neat paragraphs. Her hands start to shake, not a lot, just enough. This is insane, she whispers. You're making this up. The police have the same document, Margot. Helen filed it last week. Her head snaps up. I'm not here to destroy you, I say. I'm giving you a chance. Walk out there, tell the truth, and resign from the trust. Or let Helen and the police handle it. Those are your only options. Margot's eyes are wet. But this time the tears aren't performed. This time they're real, and they look different. Raw, panicked, ugly. You've always been jealous of me, she says. Her voice cracks. Jealous? Margot, you cut my brake line. There's nothing left to be jealous of. She stares at me, then she grabs the door handle and pushes into the ballroom. Margot doesn't walk out. She erupts. She pushes through the frosted doors into the ballroom with the paper still in her hand. Tears streaming, voice pitched high enough to cut through the string quartet. My sister is attacking me. She hired a lawyer to destroy me. She's been making up lies about our family, about our grandmother's trust. 200 people stop talking. Forks pause midair. Wine glasses hover. I step out behind her. I don't say a word. Margot spins toward the crowd, playing to them the way she always has. She's trying to steal Grandma's trust. She's the one who's unstable. Ask anyone. Silence. The terrible witnessing kind. Helen Ashford rises from her table, buttons her blazer, walks to the center of the room with the calm of someone who has done this in courtrooms for 30 years. Mrs. Whitfield. I'm Helen Ashford, trustee of Francis Sinclair's trust. Everything in that document is verified, documented, and has been submitted to the Millbrook Police Department. If you'd like to continue this conversation publicly, I'm prepared to do so. Margot wheels toward the VIP table. Brett, tell them she's lying. Brett Whitfield looks at his wife, looks at the 200 faces watching him, then looks down at his plate. He doesn't stand up. He doesn't say a word. Then a chair scrapes. Colleen Brady stands. Her voice is clear and level. I was the night nurse when your sister was admitted. You came once, 20 minutes. You signed the financial waiver and left. I have the hospital log. The ballroom holds its breath. 200 people. Not a sound. Margot looks around the room. Every face, every pair of eyes, and finds nothing. No allies, no rescue, no script. She turns and walks out the door. The door swings shut behind her. The string quartet has stopped playing. Somewhere in the room, a glass clinks against a table. That's the only sound. I stand in the middle of that ballroom in my navy dress, and I don't feel what I thought I'd feel. I don't feel victorious. I don't feel vindicated. I feel like I just watched my sister walk off a cliff she'd been building for years. Helen crosses the room and stands beside me. The police will contact Margot in the morning. The civil petition has been filed. Your trust is protected. Tessa appears at my side and puts her arm through mine. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't need to. I look around the ballroom one more time. These people aren't my audience. They're not my jury. They're just witnesses. And witnesses are all I ever needed. Not to humiliate my sister. Just to make sure the truth had a room full of people who heard it. The fallout comes in waves. Week 1. The Millbrook Police Department formally charges Margot Sinclair Whitfield with reckless endangerment in the 1st degree. The detective tells Helen they're building a case for attempted murder pending forensic analysis. If the charge upgrades, she's looking at 5 to 15 years. Week 2. Brett Whitfield files for divorce 3 days after the gala. He doesn't call Margot first. She finds out when the papers arrive. Brett's lawyer is named in a police inquiry as a person of interest. The Home Depot receipt, his wife's credit card, gloves and tools for a man's hands, the 11-minute phone call at 11:30 p.m. Week 3. The charity board sends Margot a letter. Polite, formal, devastating. They thank her for her years of service and inform her that her position as chair has been transitioned. No one calls her. Her Instagram goes quiet. Helen completes the trust petition. A judge reviews the in terrorem clause, a provision in Grandma Frances's trust that automatically disqualifies any beneficiary who attempts to harm another. The evidence is overwhelming. Margot's share of the trust is frozen pending criminal proceedings. If convicted, she loses it permanently. It doesn't feel like winning. It feels like surviving. My parents come to my apartment on a Thursday afternoon. Gerald knocks. When I open the door, he's sober. His eyes are red-rimmed and clear. No bourbon haze. He's wearing a clean shirt. It's the most put together I've seen him in years. Pauline is behind him holding a casserole dish. They sit at my kitchen table. Nobody speaks for a long time. I should have read those papers, Pauline says. Her voice is thin. I should have come to the hospital. Gerald stares at the table. I believed her because believing her was easier. I listen. I don't interrupt. I don't scream. I don't say I told you so. Because what would be the point? They know. I love you both, I say, and I mean it. But love doesn't mean I let you back in just because you're sorry. You chose Margot's version of reality for 30 years. I need time. Gerald stands. He puts his hand on the back of the chair, steadying himself. Not from drink, from something harder. Your grandmother would be proud of you, he says. I wish I could say the same for myself. They leave. The casserole stays. I eat it that night alone, and it tastes exactly like my mother's kitchen. A week later, a letter arrives from Margot's attorney, handwritten on plain white paper. I open it at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee. It doesn't say I'm sorry. Margot has never been good at those words. Instead, it says this. I didn't plan it for months. I planned it in one night. Brett told me he was leaving and I panicked. That doesn't make it right. But you should know I wasn't always this person. 9 sentences, no excuses, no justifications, no plea for forgiveness. Just a flat, exhausted statement of fact from a woman who finally ran out of performances. I read it twice. Then I think about Margot at 15. The night Dad threw a bottle at the wall and the glass went everywhere, and Margot grabbed me. I was 10, barefoot, crying. She carried me to her room and put headphones on me and held me until I stopped shaking. She was a child herself. She was protecting me with everything she had. I think about Margot at 34, standing in a dark driveway at 11:47 p.m. with a $35 tool, cutting the brake line on her little sister's car because her husband told her to fix the money problem. Both are real. Both are Margot. I can grieve the sister she was without forgiving the woman she chose to be. I fold the letter, put it in the nightstand drawer. Not the trash, not the binder, just away. A thing that exists. A truth I can hold without opening the door. My 30th birthday arrives on a Tuesday in October. Unremarkable on the calendar. Seismic underneath. Helen calls to confirm the wire transfer. $1.15 million deposited into my account. I use a portion to establish the Francis Sinclair Memorial Scholarship for nursing students at the community college. Grandma would have liked that. She always said nurses were the only people in hospitals who actually listened. Margot is awaiting trial. The charge was upgraded to attempted murder after the forensic report matched the tool marks to the cutters on that Home Depot receipt. Brett left the state. Nobody in the family mentions Margot at Sunday dinner anymore. Her chair at the table is just empty. Nobody moves it. Nobody fills it. Some absences are louder than any speech. On a Saturday morning in November, I drive to Green Ridge Cemetery with a bouquet of white daisies, Grandma Frances's favorite. I set the flowers in the little vase and stand there for a while, with my hands in my coat pockets. I kept my promise. Grandma, I say out loud. I didn't let anyone, not even someone who shares my blood, make me feel like I deserve less than what's mine. The wind moves through the oak trees. A few leaves drift down gold and amber, landing on the grass around my feet. I think about waking up in that hospital room, the empty chair, Colleen's voice, Danny's photographs, Helen's binder, the white envelope at the gala, Margot's face when she realized I knew everything. And I think about Margot at 15, putting headphones on a crying 10-year-old. I'll always carry that version of her. It just doesn't get to override the version that tried to kill me. I touched the headstone once, then I turn around and walk to my car. So that's my story. I woke up alone in a hospital bed and found out the person I trusted most tried to take everything from me, including my life. But here I am, breathing, standing, turning 30 with a scholarship fund in my grandmother's name and a kitchen table that finally has the right people around it. If someone in your life is hiding behind the word family to hurt you, you don't owe them your silence. You owe yourself the truth. Would you have walked into that gala, or would you have stayed quiet? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. Subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.